I cannot believe I'm actually saying this, but I forgot just how amazing Tesla's full self-driving is. In this video, I'm in a performance Model 3 loaner from Tesla that I was checking out as I'm kicking around the idea of moving on from the Cybertruck. And check out what we did right here. Pressing that blue button and the Model 3 backing up is already something that the Tesla Cybertruck cannot do on FSD. Now maybe soon it'll be able to, eventually, but it's been over a year and it's still lacking some of these newer features of FSD. Now right away, actually, FSD on this Model 3 makes a mistake and it goes down this dead end. But what is so amazing and made me giddy during this drive is it just fixes itself. It sees the dead end. It's intelligent. And it goes, oh, my mistake. It backs up, corrects itself, and is able to go in the correct direction to make it to its destination. Now, in this drive, I'm taking it back to Tesla service. So essentially, this Model 3 loaner is just taking itself back to Tesla service for me. If I was in the Cybertruck using FSD right now and it had moved into that dead end, I would have already had a disengagement. I would have had to hit the brake, taken over, and helped Cybertruck get out of this predicament. Now, I was fully confident in this drive that the Model 3 would be able to do the entire drive with me not needing to do anything. Not only does the Model 3 do the entire full drive without any interventions from me, it does it really well. We've had zero disengagement and zero intervention drives in the past, but a lot of times the moves could be awkward or weird and you maybe wanted to take over, but you didn't because you didn't need to and you wanted the car to do everything. Well, now we're at a point, at least again in the Model 3 and Model Y, not in the Cybertruck, where these vehicles can do these full drives and do them well. Not only is it doing everything safely, it's fitting in with traffic. It's going an appropriate speed. It's making turns correctly. It's going around roundabouts. It's using the turn signal correctly. All of these smaller parts of driving that are still incredibly important outside of don't crash are being handled really well. And I've talked a lot about how FSD is worse in the Cybertruck, but without any FSD updates lately, I mostly just drive the Cybertruck and I haven't really used FSD in our Model Y in quite a while. And I just totally forgot, I can't even believe I'm saying it, but I forgot just how good this software is. And just the daily driving, the daily experience I have with the Cybertruck ends up leading me frustrated with full self-driving. It is still one of the best systems you can get on the market, and it is wickedly impressive, don't get me wrong, but when you're just trying to have a normal day driving down the road, and it's making all these micro mistakes, going too slow, not taking turns appropriately, it gets old. And I'm not even talking about full self-driving in terms of just getting it to make these types of videos, because eventually, it seems soon here, I would say within the next year or two, we may actually have unsupervised FSD where the car is doing such a good job that you don't have to pay attention anymore. And at some point, these videos are going to become irrelevant. That is the ultimate goal. But just my daily driving, my daily experience, I want this more capable and better software. I do a lot of driving in my personal life, and this stuff really matters to me. And it's not just the fact that the Cybertruck doesn't have, full self-driving out of park, not the fact that it can't reverse, not the fact that it doesn't have summon or smart summon, but the fact, again, that I'm daily driving this thing and the experience, the maneuvers it makes are not as good as the Model 3 and the Model Y, while also being a much more expensive vehicle. So this has really been a big motivator for me to move back to the Model Y, as I talked about in my last video. Basically, I've decided at this point with this overnight test drive that the Model 3 performance is very fun and everything, but it's not really the car for me. The Model Y is a much better fit for my lifestyle, and especially having the most updated, latest vehicle that Tesla has to offer is very important to me, including that front bumper camera. As of right now, it seems that the front bumper camera isn't being used in either the Cybertruck, and I assume the new Model Y, although I don't know that for sure, but the Cybercab that is coming out from Tesla does have a front bumper camera, and so that is going to become important in full self-driving eventually, and it'll be nice to have that on the vehicle ready to go. For pretty much all of this drive, I'm also in the standard setting, and I'm finding that the speed in the standard setting on the Model 3 is appropriate for all of the roads. It's going right around the speed limit, just a little bit over, and on these slower roads, I personally don't want to be going too fast over the speed limit. Now, of course, that's all personal preference, and you can change these settings in the menu. On this drive right now, I have my max offset as 15% over the speed limit, and this Model 3 on the standard setting isn't being pinned to hurry mode, whereas in the Cybertruck, I'm not going to keep going back to the Cybertruck, but last thing here, in the Cybertruck, I have it on hurry mode pretty much 99% of the time, and even with that, the Cybertruck often will not be able to reach the speed limit. So let's check out this three-way stop interacting with other cars. So we need to stop, make our complete stop. It is their turn, the person on the right. It's usually not that big of a deal, but here the takeoff is where it's a big deal. And you can see we start moving before they were even out of our way. That is the exact kind of stuff I miss from driving the Cybertruck around. This driving is just so impressive. Everything about it, the stopping, the accelerating, the turns, all feel really good, and it's hard to get this across on camera. So I'm trying to explain to you the best I can just how natural and comfortable this self-driving feels. There are a lot of people that look at a Model 3 Performance and they go, no way, I don't want self-driving. I want to drive that car. It's a driver's car. And I totally agree. It can be really fun to rip around in it and feel the acceleration. But again, it's just not really my style. I would much more rather hang out and chill and let the car do the driving for me, especially if we are getting into this unsupervised era. Again, I'm continually skeptical that by the end of the year, we're going to have any unsupervised, that I'm personally going to have that in my own vehicle. But in the next year or 2 or 3, I want to be prepared for that. Now, the funny thing is, if we do get into unsupervised, a lot of my current complaints, which are mostly with speed control and maybe the timing of your turn signals and things like that, are not really going to be relevant anymore. If the vehicle actually is unsupervised and I can be sleeping or texting or something like that, I'm not going to notice if we're going 35 and a 40. I'm not going to notice if we put our turn signal on way too early. Now, that still can annoy the drivers around you, so I wouldn't be surprised if there does have to be, or Tesla adds some type of external warning light to let people know the car is driving itself, although that also has all of its own issues that it could cause. But for the people inside of the car, all of these nuances where we're technically in control and we go, oh, I'm just going to do it myself. You're not doing this the way I like. We're going to forget about those really quickly. But with that said, a big part of driving is fitting in with the vehicles around you. Of course, the vehicles need to drive safely. That is number one. And I think Tesla's had that nailed down for a really long time. But another aspect is just not confusing the people around you, not doing things that they don't expect, not getting in the way of other drivers. Because while the Tesla is going to technically do things correctly and be extremely safe, especially compared to other human drivers, you also don't want to cause difficulties for the people around you. Now, one thing that's funny about comparing the Model 3's full self-driving to the Model Y, and I realized this when I first bought my first Model Y a couple of years ago, and then I kind of forgot about it, is although the Model Y and Model 3 are extremely similar, because the Model Y is slightly taller, it does have a better vantage point compared to the Model 3. Now, I'm not sure that personally I would be able to tell the difference in the ability of the vehicles with the slightly different camera positions, but I definitely can tell that the Model Y can see just a little bit farther or past other vehicles slightly better than the Model 3 can. Now, something else this really makes me think about is that Tesla has talked about licensing full self-driving technology to other companies for quite a while now. And to see them struggle so much with one of their own vehicles to bring it up to parity with their most popular cars really makes me question if they'll be able to do that anytime soon. While FSD works on the Cybertruck, there are missing features again even a year later, including full self-driving out of park, summon, and smart summon. Now, many people want to point to the fact that there just are not that many Cybertrucks on the road. They don't have a lot of miles on them, and so Tesla just simply doesn't have the data yet that they need to bring full self-driving up to parity with Model 3 and Model Y. If that's the case, I have no idea how Tesla would be able to license this to anyone else, because they would have to put all the hardware on that other company's cars, let those cars drive around for a couple million miles or whatever it really is, and then they could add the full self-driving software. So you're getting into a pretty big commitment for something that's not going to show fruit for multiple years. Now, eventually, maybe the AI that Tesla has developed for self-driving will be able to just quickly adapt to any car and it will be super intelligent, and that doesn't matter. But as of today, we have proof with Tesla's own vehicles that this is not something that they can just willy-nilly throw onto any car that they desire. Moving through this roundabout, again, super natural, super smooth. It really couldn't be any better. I could not do this roundabout. I couldn't do most of these maneuvers better myself. And just to think back on where full self-driving was 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago, it is really amazing. I am curious what the new front bumper camera on the Model Y is going to bring. I'm not sure we'll really be able to tell the difference. Again, it doesn't seem it's being used right now, but that's just like when Tesla removed the radar or the ultrasonic sensors and moved us to Tesla Vision. It took some time and tweaking to get everything kind of working together again. And eventually, of course, Tesla is going to move on to hardware 5. It doesn't matter, even if full self-driving gets to level 5 autonomy and it can literally do every type of driving scenario that a human can do, but 100 times safer, the hardware and the software will continue to get updated. Now, to the end user, is it going to be that important? I'm really not sure. Maybe the Cybercab is Hardware 5. We really don't know. The Cybercab that I saw at the Unveil event definitely had the same cameras as what we have in our vehicles today, but those of course could be placeholders. There could be new cameras that are going to be used for Hardware 5, and we cannot see under the hood. We don't know what type of chip that Tesla is planning to use for Hardware 5, but it for sure will be updated, especially to become more efficient. So here we go, right at the end of the drive, we're going to slide right through that yellow light. This is just so perfect and so good. I did switch to hurry for just a little bit. I noticed that full self-driving does seem to want to slow down a little bit when it's going uphill, but it was not necessary at all. The slowest we went in the standard setting was about 1 mile per hour below the speed limit, so I just did that for my own preferences. Now FSD turns into the Tesla showroom parking lot. It turns exactly where I want it and parks right next to my Cybertruck. Now it does park on the line just a little bit, so I will have to fix the parking job, but I pressed one blue button at the beginning of this drive. FSD backed out, made a mistake, corrected its mistake, and drove all the way from A to B with no human intervention needed. If I would have enabled this software in the parking lot with nobody in the vehicle, this is exactly where you would see the Model 3 ended up with nobody in it. Quite amazing that we are actually at this point, and I look forward to having a lot more drives in a Hardware 4, Model 3, or Model Y soon.